Welcome to Juniper's course. My name is Kyle Martin, and I'm going to be your instructor throughout the entire track of this course. So, Juniper is out there. It's lots of Juniper out there. There's lots of organizations that use Juniper equipment. And the first thing that we're going to start off talking about is our certification tracks. So if you want to get certified in Juniper, the first certification you want to take is called the JNCIA Junos. Now, what does JNCIA stands for is Juniper Network Certified Associates. The Juno stands for Juniper Operating System. So this certification alone is something that you need to take first before you decide to take any other track. And this alone states, hey, I'm familiar with the operating system. When you start logging into a Juniper device, you're going to quickly find out that this is a different type of command line that you might be used to. Most of you will be coming from a Cisco environment. Some of you will be coming from other environments, and the command line is not that big of a deal. However, I will be teaching this course as if you have no idea what this command line is like, and you have no clue what a Juniper device is, and you've never logged into a Juniper device. All right? That's how I'm handling this course. So once you get the certification, you are pretty much stating that, hey, I am familiar with the operating system. I'm familiar with the command line. I'm comfortable with going into a Juniper device and being able to make things happen. That's what this certification is all about. Now from there, you could actually branch off to different types of certifications or different tracks. One would be routing and switching. Another one would be service provider. And another one would be security. Now, routing and switching, the first one you're going to end up taking is a JNCIS entry level. This is going to get you very familiar with setting up interfaces, which we're going to be discussing here in this one anyway, but getting used to routing protocols and so on and so on. Okay? Then from there, if you want to continue on with your knowledge, because this is actually a specialist. Okay, and that's what the S stands for right here, is specialist, which means you are a specialist in the enterprise environment. You're able to walk in, you have a certain amount of skill set, and you will be comfortable in an enterprise environment. The next level will be professional, hence the P sitting here. And the JNCIP enterprise. The JNCIP Enterprise certification is a lot more in depth than the entry level. Okay? And then you have this E, which is an expert, which is actually a real lab. I mean, you have to physically go to a location and do a lab where you have equipment that you have to configure and so on and so on. So these different tracks like service provider and security are the exact same thing. You got you have your associates, you have your professional, and you have your expert. And each one of these levels. And these are the certifications that you're going to take. Obviously, if you're going to be going to the professional level, you're going to want to take the specialists first before anything else. Okay. Now it's very common to say entry with this ENT. That I still have a bad habit of saying that, but it is enterprise. So keep that in mind. All right. Things you should already know before taking a Juniper course. Now, Juniper isn't like Cisco. For those who are from the Cisco world, Cisco has tons of training material out there. They have tons of stuff out there, and it's very easy to find information. Now, at this point, I have never had a problem finding information with Juniper, and their documentation is done very well. However, you won't get that abundancy as you would with Cisco as far as the training is concerned. So their training material doesn't start off like this, like what is a network. Now, of course, you can always go to videos, and that's actually a dot there. That's videos.kyle-dungeon.com. Now, this alone here is a course that is free to you as far as network fundamentals. And that's what you want to take. All right, and that will explain to you what a network is, what Ethernet is, our cabling, our broadcast and collision domains. IP addressing isn't really part of it. Subnetting's not part of it. Hexadecimal and IP version 6 is not part of it. So you can always find other methods of going out to find these things on here. You could find that information here on videos .kyles-dungeon.com. However, this particular that particular information is with a paid subscription, so just keep that in mind. Okay, so you are expected to have a good understanding of these items. So that means you should know what a network is, you should know what Ethernet is, your cable basics, okay, your broadcast, your collision domains, your subnetting and IP addressing. We're not going to discuss that in this course. These are things that you should understand. Okay? Now, Juniper versus Cisco. A lot of Juniper training out there, they love to compare things to Cisco. Okay? That's not my objective here. That's not why we're here. We're here to learn Juniper. So let's talk about some different things about Cisco and Juniper just to get it out of the way, and that way it's not going to constantly be coming up. All right? Now, in our lab, we're going to have one Juniper switch, we're going to have one Juniper router, which is really a security device. And then we're going to have, let's kind of make this a little bit more prettier here. Then we're going to have these Cisco devices down here. Now, in our lab, we're going to have 4 routers here. These routers are only going to be for the purpose of host. Okay, we'll just say this is Cisco 2, Cisco 3, and Cisco 4. Okay, and they're going to plug into this switch. Or they might even plug into the security device or the router. Okay, either one. They're only going to be used for the purposes of setting up IP addresses on these interfaces and pinging. Okay, now the nice thing about this, with Cisco equipment, or when you build a lab, it's nice to have many equipment. The nice thing about Juniper is it works with Cisco. That's the beautiful thing about it. If it's industry standard, you can integrate different equipment to work with each other. So maybe if I wanted to teach you port channels, I might have a Cisco switch up here. Let's kind of make this a little bit better. I might have a Cisco switch up here. And I will configure the port channel up here on the Cisco, but I'm not going to really teach you that aspect. I'm just going to configure it real quick, be done with it. And then over here on the Juniper, this is where we're going to be spending most of our efforts. The reason why I'm doing this is to show you, if you already have Cisco equipment, you don't need multiple Juniper equipments. I only have one Juniper switch and one Juniper router, and we're going to be able to learn everything there is to know, that we get all the commands we need to do, including things like LDP instead of, LLDP instead of CDP. Okay, and we will be able to see these Cisco devices sitting on a Juniper router. Now, another thing about Cisco is we can just go onto a device here, or onto our interface, and you're going to have your serial interfaces, and you're going to have your fast Ethernet interfaces. And we can just log into these devices, and guess what? Now, when I say devices, I mean interfaces. We can just log into these interfaces, and guess what? I can just put an IP address on it. Bam. Done. Go into the serial interface, put an IP address, subnet mask, do a no shut, I'm good to go. Juniper doesn't work that way because the physical interface that's sitting here, we don't make the configurations on that interface itself. We make them on sub-interfaces, which are called units, which you're going to find out. So when we go and make an IP address change, it's not as simple as just going in here and making a change as it is with a Cisco device. Okay? The command line is a lot different than Cisco. There's a difference there, big time. That is your biggest difference. All right, so these are really the major things that we're going to discuss with Cisco. We're going to have some Cisco devices in here. When I configure things on a Cisco device, do not focus on that aspect. If you're already a Cisco person, that's fantastic. If not, don't get bent out of shape about it. Just focus on the configurations that we're doing here on the Juniper device. That is the key aspect because this is a Juniper course. My desire to compare every technology of Juniper with Cisco is not, it's not there, and it's not necessary. Okay?